So a little while back, you may have seen a fancy controller show up in the Game Dave Storyline series. Whoa! Yes, it's a story that I'm weaving with retro games. Well, that controller did not come from a spirit that invaded my game shelves. No, in fact, it came from controller chaos. Extreme controllers for extreme gamers. I'm just so extreme, I needed an extreme, custom NES controller. So today, I thought I'd share with you a little bit more detail about that special controller. And there it is in all its custom paint-jobbed glory. So the story of how this kind of ended up getting into my hands is the company, Controller Chaos, contacted me a while back, and they were interested in sending me one of their new custom painted GameCube controllers to take a look at. And I was like, that's cool that you want to send me a controller. However, GameCube is kind of irrelevant to what I've done here on the channel, because my focus has been on NES games recently with my main Game Dave show. And they just happen to make custom NES controllers. It's sort of something they introduced more recently. But I say, if you can get me an NES controller, I'd love to use it in the show. So we worked together and designed it together, and they sent it out to me, and I was able to use this in the show. This is the custom controller reward that was given to me by Tio, the Talking Game Shelf, and you'll be seeing this more in that show. So first off, as you can already see, it's got that green and yellow Game Dave color scheme that sort of fades into itself, and it's got this weird hexagonal pattern that kind of goes around the grips of the controller, which I kind of mentioned would be neat to see, and I guess they pulled it off. And you'll also notice it's a very glossy controller, very reflective, because this is a legit paint job. This is not some cheapo spray paint, sandpaper and spray paint job. Feels like something they did in an auto body shop. So, I guess that's a good sign, right? Right? It's the same paint that goes on my Nissan Sentra. Must be pretty good. And of course on the back you can see it's branded, hot steamy branded with Game Dave, the text from the logo right there. I asked them if I could send them a picture of the logo and if they could put it on there, and they said sure, we'll do that. And you can see they didn't center it because of course you don't want to cover up the embossed Nintendo information there. So they kind of put it to the side, and I think that's just fine. My symmetrically minded brain will survive. I think it will survive. Now, there were many other options. I could have changed the faceplate. I could have gotten a different colored D-pad, buttons for A and B, but I decided to keep that stuff original so that the feel would be the same that I'm used to with the NES controller. Now, I have to say, I was really worried about one big thing when this controller showed up in the mail. I have seen customized paint jobs on consoles and controllers in the past, at conventions and other places. Usually, they're pretty gross. I don't know if you know what I mean, but you'll pick up these controllers that have been custom painted, and they just have that feel, like I mentioned earlier, that spray paint, sandpaper feel. Yeah, I don't much care for that. It feels sticky, like the paint is just being absorbed into your skin, right into your epidermis. But it just doesn't have a professional feel to it. It doesn't feel like something that was factory made. It still feels like, okay, this is, something some guy did in his garage, and now he's selling it for quite a lot of money. Well, this is about as good as I've ever seen when it comes to a custom paint job. It doesn't feel like this thing is going to scratch very easily. It's this smooth finish, and if you really look closely, it kind of has this nice shine, this sparkle to it within the paint. This is probably professional level paint. From what I've looked at on their website, it seems that they have a legit setup for their paint warehouse where they make these controllers. Now, they have a lot of other options. I think they have Xbox 360 and Xbox One and PS3 and PS4, Wii U, the Pro controller, the GameCube controllers, and of course the NES controller. So there's a lot of different options out there, and since I'm so retro, I don't know much about these modern-day controllers with their mods. You know about these mods that you can have? It's a first-person shooter thing, and we all know I don't play many of the FUPS games. I don't play a lot of the FUPS. Stumbled there on my foops. And with those controllers, you can change really every piece of them. The thumbsticks, the bumpers, the shell. The buttons can be bullets, apparently, if you're, like, so hardcore. Why are you so extreme? Why you gotta have bullets in your controller? So gangster. Sorry, what? Oh, sorry. Gangsta. It's gangsta. And sort of just like I did, you can custom brand it with your gamer tag, as they call it. Kids call it the gamer tag. Now, you don't have to worry about getting some third-party janky controller that just doesn't feel right. They start with official, authentic, stock controllers from those consoles. And for the retro ones, it seems that, you know, since you can't buy new ones, they refurbish them inside and out. This feels like they took a brand new NES controller and redid the shell. It really does. And that's why I didn't want to get a paint job done on the faceplate or the buttons, so I could really feel that this was a refurbished, practically brand new NES controller, and it feels good. Those buttons, they got a good push to them. Man, they got a good push. But like I said, if you're interested in the more modern controllers, they also offer custom paint jobs, and there's actually more options on those newer console controllers than the NES, the poor little NES. He's still in the early stages, I'm assuming. But you can also get, like I mentioned, those mods, where you can have mod chips installed in them, like your PS4 or Xbox One controller, so that you can do all these weird things like rapid fire and auto sprint. Yeah, I don't think I'll be needing that when I'm playing Deadly Towers on NES. That's a terrible game. Now it's time for a little honesty. These are not cheap custom controllers. Again, they start with the authentic hardware, and they do a fairly professional job at customizing them with their paint jobs and new buttons and all that good stuff. So expect to not feed your family for that week if you want to buy one of these. But you know what? If you've got money to blow and you want a custom controller, this is the best I can recommend. And I can only help you out a little bit. The company was nice enough to give us a special Game Dave coupon code. So if you want to save 5% off of the price, you can put in Game Dave at checkout, and I guess you'll get 5% off your controller order, which is kind of neat. And if you want to go to that website, you can use a link in the description to check it out. They sent me the controller. They didn't pay me to review it. If you're interested in custom controllers, check them out. I know a lot of people like everything stock, but for you who like a little bit more flair, I guess it's worth checking out Controller Chaos. I'll see you later.